The central plot of Cyberpunk 2077 involves playable character V working with their best friend and partner in crime, Jackie, to steal cutting-edge technology from Arasaka, Night City's biggest corporation. It's a job that is supposed to set both characters up for life and usher them both into the major leagues and recognised as legendary mercenaries. When the job goes wrong, V ends up with Arasaka's unknown biochip in their head, a chip that has the personality engram that's gradually overwriting V's psyche. The personality is that of Johnny Silverhand, and V faces a race against time to find a way to stop Silverhand from taking over their body. The body switch process is not pretty. V routinely coughs blood, collapses, and struggles with pain as the condition becomes more chronic and more severe. V becomes disabled as a result of this augmentation, disabled physically as they manage chronic illness and their personality is hidden and dismantled. The main character transforms into a disabled mutant as soon as the biochip enters their system.
You know Johnny Silverhand?
Yes, they sometimes play those oldies on the radio. Why?
That's just it. Johnny's alive. He's sitting in my head.
He's what? Am I not... Is this some sort of strange metaphor?
In Monster Theory, Cohen noted how literary tradition warned about breaching the borders of what is possible through the exploration of classical monsters. Monsters come to represent those violating the norms, often metaphors for, but not limited to, those who are working class, disabled, and sexual and romantic non-normative identities. Within Cohen's broad monster theory, composed of 7 theses, I argue that the particular idea in Thesis 5 of breaching the borders of the possible relates to a specific kind of monster: mutants. This breaching of borders always happens in relation to mutants, beings I define as those whose creation or life has been directed by ambition or capitalist pursuit, created outside of what is perceived as natural reproduction, and whose very concept differs from the normative and police bodies that inhabit any story society. Mutants, then, are the consequence of tinkering toward the concept of progress. V would fall under this mutant categorization. Their mutant status was created by the biochip that was driven by capitalist goals and created by unrestrained corporations. V's mutant status was created outside of natural reproduction, and their body differs greatly to the norm. V's existence breaches the borders of the possible, as they are the only living person known to have the biochip, and the only person to host one body that is shared with another personality, albeit for a limited time, as V moves ever closer to death as the player progresses through the game. Mutants, by definition, push the boundaries of the possible, and it is this endeavour that elicits strong reactions in stories. Body transformation is common to speculative fiction. There is, of course, the symbol of the werewolf, a common presence in stories across the centuries, and a figure that is mutant in motion. Body transformation is common to speculative fiction. There is, of course, the symbol of the werewolf, a common presence in stories across the centuries, and a figure that is a mutant in motion, just like V. Often a metaphor for mental illness and sometimes a metaphor for physical disability, the werewolf is a culturally feared and desired figure in literature. Cohen highlighted the significance of the original werewolf story during his detailed vision of monster theory. The original werewolf story dates to ancient Greece, and the myth that Laiason, ruler of Arcadia, served Zeus, or Jupiter, the flesh of the god's child. Other stories state that he brought about the death of Arcus, or even his own children, and served them to Zeus. However, what has stood the test of time is the punishment meted out to Laiason. He was turned into a werewolf, for openly defying the gods and challenging their wisdom. The werewolf figure becomes a rare representation of a mutation in motion, and one that is linked heavily to disability by assuming a non-normative body, and one that is in direct opposition to society's ideals and systems, a body that makes the werewolf feared and hunted. As the story states, he turns into a wolf and yet retains some traces of his former shape. V and the werewolf share a common strand, an uncontrollable transition of being, and the origin of the werewolf takes a markedly grim turn as the fable concludes when Laiason can no longer speak, only signify. V's journey shares many similarities with the werewolf. V's post-human transformation is a punishment from a higher power, not a god but a corporation. After the biochip is contained within V's skull, numerous characters remark that they can see the shadow of Johnny in V. The process of transformation V experiences sees Johnny gain greater control, and late in the game even his voice breaks through V's as he begins to inadvertently seize control over the merc's body. What is unique in the game's approach is that there are no metaphors for disability in V's story, but a literal exploration of managing deteriorating health. V's former shape will remain during the transformation process. The question lingers over mind and who assumes control of that body. Historically, there have been two types of mutants: those who represent the late capitalist drive for post-human perfection, and those that warn about the dangers of genetic and reproductive tampering and try to depict a mutant as being disabled, non-white, or otherwise non-normative as a failure of science and punishment of nature. V inhabits both categories. V is the transhuman and post-human chase for greater cognitive and biological control. They represent the possibilities of technology, and particularly biotechnology, being able to transcend death. What humanity's gain in the eyes of Arasaka and other corporations is V's loss, and they continue to lose control of their body and become more unwell as they begin to transition away from their own body with little say in the matter. Just like werewolves who are neither fully wolf nor human, but are perpetually suspended in motion, V is trapped in limbo between different states of being. While werewolves are used as representations for disability due to their lack of control, monstrosity, vulnerabilities, and social alienation, V becomes literally disabled due to the biochip's transformative process. They explore the world as a disabled person, and they become a disabled mutant. V has become monstrous, but specifically a mutant monster. Those who break the fundamental boundaries of society are all monsters, but mutants are a specific kind of monster. A bioengineered creation envisioning a radical technologized future. The chip marks V as unique due to the sophisticated technology, but also forces V to undergo a transformation that they have little control of, and it results in pain and loss of autonomy in decision making, much like the werewolf figures in literature and mythology. V is thus the neo-Gothic werewolf of video games.